Welcome back to Open BXRx. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 23 million Americans are out of work, leaving many without the ability to cover their bills and necessities. While moratoriums on evictions and foreclosures during the COVID-19 pandemic provide initial relief, the question of how to pay back rent continues to be a cause for concern. Joining us now to discuss is Haydee Villanueva of Community Action for Safe Apartments. Haydee, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
The first thing, of course, that I want to start off with is a question on a lot of people's minds. Even though the eviction moratorium was upgraded, or it happened last a couple of weeks ago, I kind of want to understand what an eviction moratorium is and what will happen after it's lifted on June 20th.
Great question. So, an eviction moratorium is like a temporary stop to evictions. The moratorium ordered by Governor Cuomo in March was a universal moratorium for all commercial and residential tenants in all types of court cases. So essentially like a full, complete stop to evictions. Mm-hmm. Governor Cuomo announced that he was extending the New York's eviction moratorium from June 20th to August 20th. But instead of continuing the eviction moratorium as it stands now, the governor's new executive order ended it by allowing landlords to file new eviction cases and permitting martial evictions from June 20th onwards. Mm. So the order saying that the landlords, the new order, is saying that landlords can't file non-payment cases for anyone who has been financially impacted by COVID-19. But the problem with that is that now the tenants will have to prove financial hardship related to COVID-19. And that's going to be a big challenge for people to prove, especially those that are undocumented or have, different means of income. So the new order is very vague. It doesn't really include any mechanism on how this is going to work, what's going to be required, what the steps will take. And it leaves many tenants vulnerable to going to housing court to have to fight to stay in their homes. And it leaves them vulnerable to eviction.
Right. And as we know, housing court right now is closed, correct?
Yeah, housing court is closed now, but as of June, it should be opening.
Okay.
I mean, that's the expectation. We don't know, if they're going to continue changing things. Yeah.
Right. And, speaking of which, every day there's a new update in regards to housing. But what people are anticipating is the canceling of a rent, right? So I want to get into the next question. Due to loss of employment, many people don't have enough money to cover their bills and necessity, including rent and mortgage. Can you tell us more about the movement and the cancel rent protests that are going on?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Everyone's struggling right now, basically. And, we're in the midst of a global pandemic, a national crisis. There's at this point, there's probably 30 million people who have applied for unemployment. We know people are struggling right now and know that this problem is not going to disappear once the threat of COVID-19 has passed and once the eviction moratorium has been lifted. So we need a campaign to cancel rent and reclaim our homes because we need real solutions that will keep New Yorkers in their homes. We are calling on Governor Cuomo to cancel rent, mortgages, utilities, and to house the homeless who are severely impacted by this pandemic. We believe that we should be prioritizing people over profit, especially in a crisis like this.
Right. And what are you hearing, Haydee, in regards to the community members and, tenants? What are they expressing to you guys, to organizers, regarding housing, the situation that's going on, and their worries during this pandemic?
Well, a lot of the concerns that we hear, obviously, is mostly about the rent and, being able to pay the rent. Like you mentioned earlier, people don't have enough money and many have no choice but to not pay rent. It's not even an option for them. They have to decide, is money going to rent, to food, to care, to health, So they're dealing and juggling a lot right now. And tenants are scared that they're not going to be able to have the rent canceled, which means that in the end, they're going to be stuck with owing thousands of dollars after this is over. And there's no way they're going to be able to pay that back. And it's just terrifying to think that you will potentially have to go to court and lose your home after suffering through this whole crisis and inconvenience that everyone's going through. So, yeah, a lot of it is the rent.
there's an argument that property owners and banks have bills to pay as well. And, to the argument that there's no ability for governments to cover the cost of these cancellations, what is your response to that?
That's always funny when the landlords say stuff like that. It's like, okay, so our campaign is calling for the cancellation of mortgages as well. So not just rent, but also mortgages. However, small landlords are often used as an excuse to not cancel rent, when in reality, most landlords are not small landlords. The typical rent-paying New Yorker has a landlord who owns about 21 properties in the city. So that's not a small landlord. So the debate here is not landlord versus tenants. It's basically big business versus people. And we care about the small landlords. So, we believe they also need relief, but that doesn't have to come at the expense of tenants who are millions more. And even before COVID, were already rent burdened.
Got you. And I wanted to ask another question. I know that housing organizers have been advocating about many things regarding housing before COVID. What do you hope that will be implemented following this pandemic? And what kind of things were you advocating for way before all of this?
Yeah. So the housing movement is large and diverse. It affects so many people. So there's many things we would like to see. For CASA specifically, we were fighting to expand the rent laws, which we had a high victory in June of 2019. And we were fighting to expand right to counsel. So tenants have the right to a free legal representation if faced with eviction. We were fighting for justice in housing court so that the courts were a place of equity and accessibility for all tenants and not just landlords. And lastly, we were also fighting for just rent adjustments so that rent stabilized tenants are getting fair rents and not massive increases through the RGB process. All the principles around accessibility, justice, anti-displacement continue to be true for us during COVID and obviously continuing after it.
Right. And speaking of which, the RGB is still currently meeting the rent guidelines board. For those who are not aware what the RGB is still meeting through the pandemic. What are your thoughts in that regard? And do you feel like there is accessibility in these meetings that are happening virtually?
Actually, we've been fighting against that because there's not really any accessibility. It's been a struggle. Our main issue is language justice, which CASA really values. And we want them to at least have Spanish interpretation because a lot of the tenants, especially the ones that are burdened, are Spanish speaking. And, they're not seeing that as a priority or necessity right now. So this is like something that we are trying to work towards so that people have a full understanding of what they do and how it affects us.
Right. So, just to let the public know, you have the right to attend these meetings and know what's going on in regards to,
Exactly.
decisions
And
and all.
they're online. Yeah, now they're being done virtually. Yeah. So you
Right.
can.
Can we just learn a little more about tenant rights right now and what tenants should know about these rights? For example, the inability to pay the rent if someone is feeling harassment from a landlord.
Yeah.
What are those rights?
So right now, until June 20th, there's still the universal eviction moratorium, which is great, which means no one can be evicted for any reason, whether you paid rent or not, or had a previous eviction started on you. You have the right to a safe home, which means that your services and repairs should be addressed in your apartment or in your building. In fact, the housing courts are open for emergency repairs. So they're not dealing with evictions right now, but they will be dealing with emergency repairs. So they're open for that. You also have the right to organize and be in communication with your neighbors about how to address the issues that you may be facing in your building. And under no circumstance does your landlord have the right to harass you. So that is something that you can bring the landlord to court for if you feel you're being harassed. And if you have specific questions about your situation, you can call the legal service hotline. Their number is 917-661-4500. That's Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Or the Housing Court Answers hotline, which is 212-962-4795. Again, Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. And if you want to get involved in the campaigns that we do and organize with us, you can contact Yeraldi. Her number is 917-306-3320. And she's available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. And you can also email her. And her email is y.perez@newsettlement.org.
Thank you, Haydee, for all that information, all those resources for those who are interested and need this assistance right now. As we know, CASA also has upcoming events, or no, you've had events and you've had workshops on how tenants can get in touch and learn about all these issues and what their rights are. How can people get in touch with CASA and stay up to date with all of these events that may be coming up soon?
Yeah, so we just had our general membership meeting on May 20th. We do that once a month, so people are definitely welcome to join us for next month. And then we've been doing a lot of campaign work and tenant rights work and cooperating and coordinating with other action organizations for tenants. And if anyone wants to get involved, they definitely can go to our Facebook page. A lot of our events, we live stream on Facebook, so people can either watch it as it's happening or watch the recording afterwards. Our Facebook is facebook.com/Casa Bronx. And again, you could also just call Yeraldi to get more information. She can email, text you, or whatever method you prefer. And her number again is 917-306-3320.
Got you. Thank you, Haydee. And just to be specific, just to be particular, CASA also has interpretation services for those meetings. You offer it
They
as
do.
well, right?
So CASA always offers Spanish interpretation. We have a separate phone line that people can call in. We have the interpreter, and we make sure that the Spanish tenants are being heard, their questions are being answered. And actually, when we have our meetings in person, we actually offer dinner and we offer childcare as well. So that there's no excuse for people to attend, know their rights, and know what they could do to make changes for tenants and for our city. Yeah.
You get it all in one, and it's all in community with people that you can trust and, people that understand what you are going through right now. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I'm glad to share this information. I hope that people find it helpful, and definitely reach out and check us out online. And hopefully we'll see you soon at some of our events.
Yes, for sure. And folks, to stay up to date, again, you can attend virtual meetings to learn about your housing rights by following at Casa Bronx on Instagram and New Settlement Apartments Community Action for Safe Apartments. That's a mouthful, but it's written right here on the bottom on Facebook. Open BXRx will be right back.